On tonight's show, Activision is trending on Twitter. Why? Because there's a lot of speculation, serious speculation as well, that Microsoft might sell off Xbox if the Activision Blizzard deal doesn't go through. This is serious speculation from serious tech blogs. So, take that as you will. All this and much, much more is what we're going to be discussing tonight on the one, the only Xbox Monday Night Chat podcast. Roll the titles. Yokoso, arigato gozaimasu. Welcome to the Xbox. My mind went blank then. Xbox Monday Night Chat, your regular live spot for in-depth Xbox news, games, and analysis. And we have a packed show for you tonight. I wasn't planning to spend that much time talking about this damn Xbox, Microsoft, and I'll come to this later, Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. But it seems that it's actually trending on Twitter. There is a lot of chat going on. So we're going to be talking about that in great detail again, unfortunately. But it's quite interesting, the kind of speculation that's going on, where we think we are with the deal, what the next move is. There's sort of inside rumors of where the sort of UK Competition and Markets Authority might be, and all of that. Anyway, we'll discuss all of that. Of course, we've got a whole it's not a shed load. We've got some more games for Xbox Game Pass coming this week. There's a new season of Halo, which we'll be looking at, and so much, much more. As ever, it is the Xbox Monday Night Chat. You are playing the role of chat, of course. So dive into the chat, as some people already have done. I always like to interact with the chat, say hello, hear what you've got to say throughout the show. It always makes for a more engaging show if you engage in the chat. And as ever, let me know what games you've been playing this week on whatever platform you choose to game. I'm always interested to know what the game du jour, as it were, the game du jour is. So let me know that and all of that, and any questions or queries or observations you want to make Xbox related, put it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, housekeeping. Let's get on with the housekeeping. That's all I bloody do. Housekeeping. Here we go. Don't forget to hit the likes, because, sing along with me, I like it, YouTube likes it, and it helps people like you find brilliant content just like this. And if you are new here, arigato gozaimasu, hit that subscribe button, toggle that notification bell, and that way you'll know when I go live with content just like this. Let's dive into the mosh pit early doors. We've got a couple of people in the chat already, and it's always good to see. Sednar, he's here. Round of applause. Sednar is in the house. Oh, man, yeah. The cowboy there, you know it's going to be epic. It always is in the house. And Colm is here as well. Welcome. Lovely to see you. Sednar is still on Elden Ring. 4 months. It's an epic. Sednar, that's all right. You take your time. I have a funny feeling that Atomic Heart is going to take me some time. I find it quite difficult in places. I think it's a game you have to make sure you keep updating your weapons and sort of updating your character and stuff like that for the next challenge, the next boss level, and so on. And there's a lot of trial and error, trial and effort kind of thing I'm finding with Atomic Heart. So I've been playing a bit of Atomic Heart, although They keep updating it, which is good, but it's annoying. I'm so not used to it. Now I download games. I'm just not, and maybe it's just Atomic Heart, but I'm just not. No, it's not actually. I had the same thing with Call of Duty and Halo. Like, you're in the mood. I never had this in Stadia or with, when cloud gaming. You're in the mood for a game. You jump on to your console of choice or wherever it is, and you fire it up, and it goes updating. And you just think, oh. And I've been like that with Atomic Heart. Twice that's happened to me in the last week. Well annoying. But there you go. Them's the breaks if you're going to game old-fashioned style, which is what I've been doing now and then. So purple's in the house. Always lovely and delightful to see purple in the house. Let's go. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Before we kick off with the news and all of that, let us... so there's a new season of Halo. I do enjoy Halo. So Halo Infinite Season 3 is going to bring everyone back to Halo Infinite. Well, maybe. Yeah, this is Polygon. Well, I really want some more campaign. We're not getting it. I'm just saying it out the box there. We're not getting it. I could really do with it. There was a Halo competition over the weekend as well. Anyway, Halo's Infinite third season, titled Echoes Within, has been a long time coming. Initially planned for release last fall on Xbox and Windows, 343 Industry pushed it back a few months, opting for the release of the so-called Winter Update, which included a handful of new maps, features, but not the sort of content deluge that typically defines full seasons. And that has been one criticism of Halo. Considering it's Xbox's sort of flagship IP, they've not really been delivering the content and the level that you might expect. Halo Infinite seasons typically have 100-level battle pass replete with cosmetics. The winter update included 30 levels. Echoes Within will add the hotly anticipated bandit rifle, a single-shot weapon, could do with that. Similar to the weapon that appeared the DMR from beloved games like Halo 4 and Halo Reach. Lots of updates like that. Let's roll the trailer.
Why here?
Where's the campaign is what I want to know. Yeah, biggest multiplayer update. Brilliant. I mean, I play a lot of multiplayer. A lot. The big battles I tend not to play. The 12v12s or the massive battles. Battlefield type thing. Although they're fun. I much prefer the quick plays. Although, as an arena, this is where the big battles are usually held. As an arena, that might be interesting. A new arena map there.
Double kill, triple kill, overkill, kill.
I do enjoy the quick play. I have to.
Kill trust. Kilimanjaro.
Let me know what you think in the chat. I mean, I know not everybody. Just oops. Showing bad quality. That looks fun. Do you see this? This is made in Forge. It's one of those sort of tiny soldiers type thing.
Death for you. In triumph for me!
So there you go. Coming March the 7th, Halo's Echoes Within. I mean, as much as I do like a bit of multiplayer fun, mostly the quick play, as I say, it would be nice, ladies and gentlemen, it would be nice if they did more campaign. I'm in the mood for a bit of Halo campaign. I know it takes time from a development point of view and all of that, but, you know, I would enjoy it. Jay Smith is in the house. Hello, Jay. Lovely to see you, sir. Always good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yokoso, Yokoso, Yokoso. Welcome indeed. Right, so that's Halo, ladies and gentlemen, coming there. And also in the news, don't forget your Xbox reward there. Looks interesting. Do you think this will drop on GFN this week? It should. The Halo. It's interesting. I wouldn't be surprised that this is in light of the Nvidia Microsoft deal to bring Xbox PC games to GeForce Now, as we discussed on the GeForce Now Thursday night podcast. You want to come out with a banger, don't you? Yeah? And it is on Steam. That and Sea of Thieves and stuff is on Steam. And they did say, NVIDIA GeForce said they only have the capacity to about 10 a week or 10 a month or something like that games. So why not come out with a big statement? We're expecting the first few Xbox PC games to come to GeForce Now, and then within the, hopefully, fingers crossed, this week. I don't have any inside information on that yet, but that would be nice. But certainly within the next couple of weeks. Why not bring Halo just in time for Halo Season 3 on March the 7th? So that would be, why not bring it out ready for next week? That would be good timing, wouldn't it? Mostly single-player games only at the moment. Yeah. If Xbox is Monday night and G4 is Thursday, what will Luna be when it comes to the UK? I'm not a big fan of Amazon. Well, that's a bit of a... As a shop, I buy virtually everything from Amazon, but as a streaming service for TV, I'm product company, I'm less of a fan of Amazon. Of course, I'll give it a go, but I'm not sure I'd be dedicating a whole show to it. My passion wouldn't necessarily be quite there for Luna as it is for Xbox, and certainly for GeForce Now, given the top tier they have. Multiplayer game on Steam, perfect game to drop. Exactly, Caseball. Halo would be great for GeForce Now as an opening gambit, as an opening statement. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Xbox Game Pass Friends and Family is expanding to 6 more countries. Xbox Game Pass Friends and Family plan expands to 6 more countries. So previously we talked about it coming to Ireland and Colombia. Very strange choices, I guess. I was just rolling out they're sort of rolling it out in the smaller markets before they go to the bigger markets, oddly enough. Microsoft has added 6 more countries to its Xbox Game Pass Friends and Family plan rollout, meaning the account sharing service is now available across 8 countries. So the service, Friends and Family service, launched as a limited preview last September. For its initial pilot, the service was limited to Colombia and Republic of Ireland, but Microsoft confirmed more countries will be added to this meager list in the next month. And they now include Chile, Hungary, Israel, New Zealand, South Africa, and Sweden starting today. So that was actually last Tuesday, I think, or last week. So there we go. Xbox Game Pass, Friends and Family, now coming to Chile, Hungary, Israel, New Zealand, South Africa, and Sweden as of last week. So there you go. Right. Not only that then, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into sort of the meat and gravy, as it were, or the tofu and gravy for the vegetarians out there, There are more games coming to Xbox Game Pass this week. So let's focus on that. Why don't we go to Clive in the studio and he can round up the games coming to Xbox Game Pass this week. Clive, you ready in the studio? Yeah? Okay, good. So over to Clive in the studio. Thanks, Clive. So following on from the arrival of Atomic Heart on Xbox Game Pass last week sees the addition of 4 more games for the subscription service. So without further ado, let's check them out. Starting tomorrow with Merge and Blade and Soul Hackers 2, both for console, cloud and PC. Merge and Blade is a fantasy puzzle game. You'll engage in large-scale battles with monsters with your own squad, which is made using merge mechanics. After a battle, you can recruit new units using these merge mechanics. By proceeding with these puzzles and battles, you will retake the castles occupied by monsters. And then one for Japanese game fans in the form of Soul Hackers 2, a 2022 role-playing video game developed by Atlus. The game is the 5th installment in the Devil Summoner series, itself a part of the larger Megami Tensei franchise, and a sequel to the Devil Summoner Soul Hackers. The plot follows Ringo and Figu, manifested agents of the artificial intelligence Aeon, as they seek and recruit people from rival groups of Devil Summoners, who are key to preventing an approaching apocalypse. Gameplay has Ringo and a party exploring dungeon environments within a futuristic city and fighting enemies in turn-based combat. And then racing into March, we have F1 22 on console and PC only. This is on March the 2nd from EA Sports. Play as your favourite driver or create your own team as you take control of stunning new Formula One cars from the Formula One 2022 World Championship season. With a redefined race day experience, adaptive AI system, as well as the acclaimed career mode and more, you'll be immersed in the new-ish F1 season like never before. Then the following day sees the release of Wolong Fallen Fantasy on console, cloud and PC from Team Ninja. The story of a malicious soldier fighting for survival in the chaotic Three Kingdoms in a dark fantasy. It is 184 AD China, at the end of the late Han Dynasty. The world is in turmoil and infested with demons, and the long and prosperous dynasty is on the verge of collapse. As the Yellow Turban Rebellion rages, led by Xiang Xiao's Way of Taiping, the protagonist, a malicious soldier, heads out to suppress the Yellow Turbans when he meets a young man. This encounter engulfs the protagonist into a swirling intrigue of chaos. So there you go. That's the games arriving on Xbox Game Pass this week. Let us know what you think in the live chat or even in the comments if you're watching this after the live show. And on that, it's back to Clive in the studio. Clive, it's back to you. Thanks, Clive. That was really interesting, as ever. Let's go back to the studio. Well, there we go. So there's the Xbox Game Pass games this week. Anything there inspiring you? I mean, we did get Atomic Heart last week, and there is Wolong Fallen Dynasty in there as well, which looks quite interesting. I think of the games, of those 4 games, I think it was there, that's the one I'll be probably checking out of curiosity. But let me know in the chat which ones you think are of interest to you. F1 2022 is a bit late. It's good to see. I wasn't sure whether that one you needed access to EA Play or that was just one that was going straight into Games Pass, sort of as per normal type thing. We're sort of, are we in? I always get confused with F1. Are we in the 2022 season? Or we're in 2023. I always get confused because the season gets split. Anyway, we're halfway through if it's not finished. I'm looking at F1 there. So there you go. As I say, let me know which ones of those interest you. Cloudbuster's saying Nvidia, Nintendo, Xbox, what a dream team. The Tegra chip is already in the Switch. Imagine that. So I'll take that game, says Cloudbusters. I always found the F1 quite... it's not arcadey enough for me as a racing game. As a it's a proper, almost like feels like it's a proper racing sim, isn't it? Really, I like my racing games a bit more arcadey. I'm not that good, but it's much more for the connoisseur of F1. I find, although it always looks amazing and it always plays great. Right, let's talk Activision Blizzard briefly. I just want to check. Oh no! Before we get onto that, I'm just going to change the order of things. So there was a Sony showcase thing. What did they call it? My brain's gone dead. Anyway, there was a sort of a Sony show and tell. And at it, Baldur's Gate 3 was announced as coming to Sony. One, I find that curious as I've just started playing Baldur's Gate 3 as a complete noob, as I'm not a nerd. I don't know my dungeons from my dragons. Yeah. But I'm willing to broaden the mind, open my mind and give it a go. So I've been playing it on NVIDIA, GeForce Now. And of course, the first thing, like I had to put down my controller. Controller has no place for a game like that. It's all keyboard, blah, blah, blah. And then it's announced for PlayStation. So the first thing, my first thought was, well, that's interesting. Is this an exclusive to PlayStation? Why not Xbox? And my second instinct was, how are they going to do that with a controller? Although things like Age of Empires, I know they're different games, but Age of Empires is a very keyboard, PC, nerdy, orientated control system. They managed to do a very good job, as I understand it, converting that. So there's a way of doing it, clearly. And it might make it more appealing to someone like me. There we go. But it was interesting that it seemed to be, they only seemed to be mentioning PlayStation. Well, I then came across a tweet here. And this is Sven Svink from, obviously, Larian Studios, who make it. And I've not read the Reddit thing, but basically what he's saying is they haven't announced it for Xbox. I'll just read what he says and then it'll make sense to you. This is the Baldur's Gate 3 Reddit. And this is the community manager, basically, from Larian, so from the developer themselves. So this isn't some random chappy. This is them. This is the developer. Hey all, thanks for all the hype and enthusiasm following yesterday's announcement that Baldur's Gate is coming to PS5. Boo! Day and date with PC on August the 31st. Boo! Xbox players, we've seen your questions about if/when you can expect Baldur's Gate 3 on Xbox. We've had an Xbox version of Baldur's Gate 3 in the work for some time, but we've run into some technical issues, particularly with split-screen co-op. We're still working on an Xbox version of Baldur's Gate 3, but we're not yet confident enough. This is the Scandinavian in them. They're being, they talk honestly and directly. This is not flim-flamming. Being honest and straight down the middle. We're still working on an Xbox version of Baldur's Gate 3, but we're not yet confident enough to announce it. We don't like announcing anything until we're ready, because we don't want to get people's hopes up until we can deliver. There's no platform exclusivity preventing us from releasing Baldur's Gate 3 on Xbox Day and Date. Should that be a technical possibility? If we do, we'll announce the plans further. Subsequent to that, ladies and gentlemen, I did read, now it's not from them, but I did read on a tech blog that the issue seems to be with getting it to run on the Xbox Series S. So it will be, the idea is that obviously they'd make it available for current gen, so not old gen. It would be available in the same way that it's just available for PS5. It'll be available for Xbox Series S and obviously Xbox Series X. Microsoft wouldn't want it just to come on Xbox Series X because that undermines the fact, Xbox Series S. But the problem, apparently from insiders, is getting it to work, and it's probably this split screen issue, getting it to work on the Xbox Series S. And that is what apparently is holding back Baldur's Gate 3 from being announced for Xbox. So those of you that watched the PlayStation 5 showcase and saw the Baldur's Gate 3 announcement, if you were wondering, then yes, it should be coming to Xbox, but they're having technical difficulties, and the rumor is the problem is getting it to work to the level that they need it to on the Xbox Series S. Interesting. Just seeing if there's anything more about it. There we go. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is Baldur's Gate 3. Let's have a look. State of play. Thank you, Jay. That was the word I was looking for. State of play. Kirk is there as well. Sony state of play. The show and tell. That'll do. F1 season runs from practice February until first race in March and the last race in November. Thank you, Internet of Games. Gets very confusing because yeah. Okay, so they're ramping up for 2023 now, aren't they? That's what I saw. They were going into practice pre-season mode at the moment, so that will be 2023. So obviously, F1 2022 is coming out to coincide with the start. No, it's coming out on Xbox Game Pass to coincide with the launch and start of F1 season 2023. They are to jump on the coattails of that marketing. That seems to be the reason why. But there we go. If you're a fan, or I guess if you're a real fan of F1, you've already got F1 2022. But if you're sort of a curious fan, then now's your chance to get it on Xbox Game Pass. So there we go. Right, so that's that. Right, now I just want to jump into the Activision Blizzard and as a way of doing it, let me introduce you to... I'll introduce you here. Blop, 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 blop. This person here who, when Microsoft were presenting their case to the EU about why they think the Activision Blizzard deal should go through, this person was tweeting memes. You may think, well, so what, Clive? Everybody's free to do what they want. But what's interesting is, so this was them going, look at this meme of Sony. Make it large for you can see. This is Sony refuses to accept guaranteed long-term access to Call of Duty, basically sticking a stick in their own spokes. What if we lose access to Call of Duty? Right, now you think, well, so what? Okay, that's just some random person tweeting memes, having lols on social media, yeah? Until you see it's the executive vice president, Lulu Cheng Meserve. Sorry, Lulu. I apologize if I got your surname wrong there. The executive vice president of corporate affairs and CCO of Activision Blizzard. Like basically someone on the top table at Activision Blizzard, while Microsoft were presenting the case, and probably Activision Blizzard with them, were presenting the case to the EU. Good old Lulu, good to see a young female on the board, by all accounts, or at least, on the senior management team at Activision Blizzard, tweeting out memes. Now, this did get some sort of, some journalists a bit peeved. How dare she kind of be so frivolous and not serious? But she defended herself, going, this is the way I roll. I am the Executive Vice President Corporate Affairs and CCO of Activision Blizzard. I'm also a young, happening person who happens to enjoy social media and memes. Get with the plan, Grandad, is effectively what she was saying to them. If you don't like the way I operate, then maybe it's on you. And I like that. Lulu, there she is. I like it. And she goes on to say here, and she pinned this tweet. This is from last year, actually. The playbook for communications and PR is outdated. And this is where she's coming from. Traditional comms might work for incumbent corporations in traditional industries, but it doesn't work for founders and startups trying to build something new that's by definition unprecedented and poorly understood. She's talking about just shaking up the way we communicate, or way corporations communicate. They don't want to be seen to be a bit dusty and formal. Anyway, a few people came out about her. And she had a go here at this guy from SVG. And she basically put him right. But I just thought it was interesting anyway, that someone takes that approach. You may not agree with him. You may think we have to be serious about these things. You are the EVP Corporate Affairs and CCO of Activision Blizzard. But then again, why not communicate in the language that we tend to, we're talking? Why be all, fusty about it? I'm sure she does her job very, very well. So, to journos who don't like it and all of that. Anyway, back to the more serious thing. As I said, Activision Blizzard, look, if we look here on the side, is trending. And the reason it's trending is there seems to be a lot of speculation, around what happens if the Activision Blizzard deal doesn't go through. Will it be the end of Xbox? There is some... Now, you just think that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. But there is some serious speculation about this. Now, whether it's just to, sell media, sell eyes on blogs and whatnot, I don't know. But it's a very interesting take. But in an interview with the Times, have I got that interview? I've got a little bit of the interview because it's behind a paywall. Paywall? a narwhal. It's behind a narwhal. No, it's behind a paywall, not a unicorn horn fishy thing. Microsoft makes its last stand in $69 billion battle for Call of Duty. And it's an interview in the Times, the UK Times, when Microsoft unveiled its £57 billion, that's what it's worth in pounds, English sterling, takeover of video game maker Activision Blizzard in January last year. The US tech giant's gaming boss, Phil Spencer, knew his first port of call. This is interesting. Little interesting bit of information here. Spencer, who oversees Microsoft's Xbox brand, emailed Sony's chief executive Kenichiro Yoshida and set up a call between Yoshida, Spencer, and Microsoft, and Microsoft's chief executive, Satya Nadella. The aim was to give Yoshida assurances that we were not going to pull any content away from PlayStation platform. The big concern being Activision Blizzard's game Call of Duty, which is one of the biggest selling franchises in history. We had the conversation and it was all very cordial. We have a good relationship, Spencer recalled. It might have been a friendly chat, but, and that's as far as my paywall goes, but there's more. It's covered in VGC here. He basically goes on in that interview when asked, okay, Phil Spencer, what happens if the deal doesn't go through? And basically what he's saying is that it's not a linchpin for the future of Xbox, and the gaming arm will continue to exist if the deal is blocked by regulators. And this is following... Phil Spencer was in the UK this week for talks with the Competition and Markets Authority following last week's European Commission hearing in which it defended the proposed deal. So things are sort of getting at the hot end of things at the moment, the spiky end, the pointy end of things. And of course, CMA is in the middle of so the Competition and Markets Authority is in the middle of an in-depth investigation into the acquisition, while it also faces challenges from the European Commission and the US FTC. Now, we talk about this a lot in terms of it being, this is an Xbox Activision Blizzard deal, Xbox Activision Blizzard deal. But sometimes I think we need to be clear. This is not Xbox buying Activision Blizzard. This is Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard because of the sheer scale of it. And there is a piece, and I don't know whether they've shown a clip in here. No, they haven't. In that Times article, there was a sort of a breakdown of all the big takeovers that Microsoft had done, like Skype, LinkedIn, Mixer, Bethesda, all of those things. Yeah. So not just gaming companies, but the big, tech companies that Microsoft has gobbled up. And the Activision Blizzard deal is by far the biggest deal that they're going to do, that they've done. So when you put it in that context, yeah, of course, the competition and market authorities around the world are going to, whatever industry it is, just because of the sheer scale of it, are going to, have a nosy, have a butchers, as we say in the UK, have a quick butchers, check it out. What are they doing? That is a $70 billion deal. So, of course, the competition and markets authorities around the world are going to give it a good old checking out just because of the sheer scale of it. And, of course, politically, there is this, I mentioned it before, especially in America, with the current administration, there is this nervousness and focus on big tech and big deals because of what's happened in the past with the Facebook taking over Instagram and WhatsApp and Google and Amazon. There is this, concern that nothing was done at the time about those things, or not enough was potentially done, and those big tech deals. So this is the first big tech deal that can get sort of the scrutiny that the current administration around the world as well, EU, who've always looked at things like Google and stuff like that, and Microsoft before, to give it a good look and a good question. Although the deal, as I just said here, so repeating what I've said here, although the deal would be by far the Microsoft's biggest ever acquisition, the corporation makes far more from non-gaming products such as Windows, Office, and its cloud services. So it's Microsoft Azure. I mean, still much more large business. But he goes on to say, Spencer goes on to say that the gaming business is not dependent on its completion. So I said there's a lot of speculation that Microsoft might just get rid of the Xbox Arm or just spin it out. I don't know. But I can't see it happen. But there's some serious speculation about it. It is an important acquisition for us. It's not the linchpin to the long term. Xbox will exist if the deal doesn't go through. Much of the regulators' concern around the Activision Blizzard deal is focused on how it could allegedly reduce PlayStation's ability to compete. Sony has called Call of Duty series irreplaceable. Although Sony, as claimed by Microsoft, have a 70% share in the console business. But there was also some interesting news as well, or interesting feature that came out in some of the disclosures about, and this is from Sony. So again, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. Where is it? It was... Okay, so first of all, before I get to it, there is in some of the papers, I wish I could find it now. So in some of the documents presented as part of the case, and I'll try and find it again. I thought I'd saved it, but in some of, as I say, the documents that Sony presented that have been revealed with some of the numbers redacted, they basically said that they are reliant on obviously that, every Call of Duty game that's sold for PlayStation get a bit because there's sort of a license to be able to, you pay the platform owner a license to be able to have your game on their platform, right? So they are reliant on those sales, the PlayStation versions of Call of Duty, so much so it makes them like billions of dollars, right? So much so that they've claimed in the papers that they revealed to the courts that their exclusives don't make them money, which I find hard to believe. But they're saying their ability to invest in their exclusives, your Horizon Zero Dawn, your Spider-Man, those exclusives, your God of Wars, everybody loves so much. What they're claiming, this is really odd and interesting, but what Sony are claiming is that without Call of Duty making the money that it does for Sony, for PlayStation, the amount of sales that are made for PlayStation, without that, they're saying they would be unable to invest in the level that they do to create the exclusive games that they do to the standard and level that we've sort of come to expect with Sony exclusives. I mean, let's be honest, Sony exclusives are spectacular games. Even though I'm not a Sony fanboy, they are, without shadow of a doubt, fine examples, top of the shelf examples of AAA games for a platform. But what they're saying is without Call of Duty sales, they're unable to invest and take the risk in those kind of wonderful, unique worlds that they create for their exclusive titles. And I just thought it was a very interesting take. IGN did an interesting article here, anyway, where they talked with some legal experts about their perspective about which way it might go. And there was interesting here because what you might have is a scenario where the deal is not approved in one territory, but it is approved in others. So, for instance, it's already been approved in some territories, I think like Brazil and other territories. Some smaller territories, their competition and market authorities have already approved the deal. But the big ones, the UK, EU and the US, they haven't yet. And so what happens if, I don't know, it's not approved in the UK, it is in the US, it's not approved in the EU, yeah? So there was an interesting speculation here. So it's an IGN, it's an interesting read where they, as I say, they talk to a variety of legal experts just to get their perspective on it, on which way they think this is going to fall. And again, just here, commenting on what I said about the sheer scale of the deal, the sheer amount of money involved in the Activision Blizzard deal, the FTC was always going to be scrutinizing the merger very closely. The FTC's investigation itself is pretty standard activity for this, just given the size of it, for this massive acquisition. While interesting, it's unsurprising. But things got really interesting in earlier December when the FTC sued to block the deal with preliminary hearings. And this is very much to do with, under the Biden administration, we've seen an ongoing antitrust crackdown led by FTC head Lina Khan that is explicitly intended to rein in the big tech industry, which is what I said. There's a real sensitivity around big tech. And this deal has got the alarm bells ringing politically. But yeah, what happens if the EU or the UK doesn't agree it? So one solution may be that basically Xbox could guarantee in those territories, yeah, so guarantee in Europe and guarantee in the UK that all Activision games will be multi-platform. Yeah, so they could guarantee that specifically to those territories, which I just thought was interesting. I'm not sure they would. But it was just an interesting approach. I think a similar approach has been taken, not in the gaming industry, but in other tech things where guarantees in certain territories. Just trying to find it. And then, of course, the other approach is the spin-off of Blizzard as well, as an option again. Anyways, there's some interesting legal perspectives about ways that they can get around it, what they might have to do, whether they make kind of guarantees and all of that. It's going to go on, it's going to go on. I'm sure my gut feeling, if you're going to ask my tuppence worth, my dime's worth, I guess, for the US, then is it will go through. It just will be, there will be compromises and deals and stuff like that, but I'm sure it will go through. Yeah, but it's interesting. And to say, it's led to this sort of speculation that somehow Xbox might, oh, here we are. Look, here's this. This is the interesting. This is the thing about Sony. Excuse me. The numbers are redacted. Microsoft's foreclosure strategy, so that basically means the exclusivity strategy. So this is Sony. This is Sony's case, or presentation or argument to why the deal shouldn't go through. This is a court document. And they go here, Microsoft's foreclosure strategy, so their kind of exclusivity strategy, which we've seen with Bethesda, yeah, would cause Sony to lose significant revenues, diminishing, right? So that's basically what I'm saying. They would lose significant revenue from the sales of Call of Duty, diminishing its ability to fund further investment. PlayStation users that play Call of Duty generated around, redacted, percentage of total spending around something billion on hardware, peripherals, subscription games, and other PlayStation services. The loss of all or a significant proportion of these users, together with their associated revenues and profits, would severely diminish Sony's ability, and this is the thing about their own exclusives. I'd never thought about this before, and I think it's a stretch argument. Is Call of Duty that impactful? What they're saying is it would severely diminish Sony's ability and incentive to invest in future hardware innovation and gaming technologies. So basically they're saying without Call of Duty, you're not going to get PlayStation 6. I'm simplifying it, okay? Because this is a podcast and, you know, we like headlines and you know, short sound bites. It's a bit more complicated than that. But that's what effectively they're saying. It would severely diminish Sony's ability and incentive to invest in future hardware innovation and gaming technologies. Cornerstone Research and RBB Economics estimate that switching rates of blah, 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 redacted, could lead to a something percentage reduction in Sony's profits. This is the thing about their own exclusive titles now, this would in turn also reduce the potential return on producing innovative first-party games, thereby diminishing Sony's ability and incentive to invest in new games. So what they're saying is, their argument against is if Call of Duty is so significant, it is so important to the Sony platform that without it, it would disincentivize them from developing new exciting technologies for hardware, i.e. PlayStation 6. And secondly, reduce the potential return on producing innovative first-party games. No more God of War. That's what Sony are claiming. Let me know what you think in the chat. It's an interesting perspective, put it that way. I don't know. Anyway, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's enough. Let's go to the chat, see what you guys have been saying in the chat. Populist claptrap Lulu. Oh, Internet of Games not liking what Lulu's got to say. I think all gamers are worried that game exclusivities become worse as game companies leverage Microsoft against Sony and vice versa. Yeah, I mean, but if you think about, my view is this deal is good for consumers, oddly enough. I tend to lean towards Xbox only because Sony has a 70% share of consoles. Yeah. Nintendo's got a big old share and they do their own thing. So Xbox being even more competitive, considering Sony has such a large share, forces Sony to be even more innovative and exciting and interesting. And that can only be good for consumers. If Sony and Microsoft were neck and neck in terms of console sales and stuff like that, then yeah, I could see the argument, yeah? It's a much stronger argument. But the reality is, Sony is by far the biggest console seller. What percentage of swing, and I don't see it be that much, but what percentage of swing from, considering we know how there's a sort of, you know, a stupid childish loyalty within console, you know, this fandom that exists, what kind of percentage swing would be required to seriously damage, this is Sony, damage Sony's current strong foothold in the console market? Yeah. All this deal will do, if anything, will bring Microsoft up a bit more. It won't bring them level, but it will bring them up a bit more. Now, Sony and Sony may find that's too close for comfort. And if they do, they have to innovate. Give us reasons why you don't want to jump from Sony to Xbox, apart from being, anti one or anti the other console, So I think it's a good thing, but I can understand why politically there is nervousness about giant tech deals like this. It'll roll and roll, and it gives me loads and loads of stuff to talk about on this show. Lots of people in the chat. Lovely to see you all. Don't forget to hit the likes, folks, because I like it. As I said, YouTube likes it, and it helps people like you find great content like this. It's all going well for Activision. Good evening, Paul. How are you, sir? The notable, because it is an answer directed to Microsoft shareholders, and the first time Xbox Phil has spoken off on the ramp. Going to get an Xbox Series X soon. Signed up for Game Pass Ultimate and the best deal in gaming. Looking forward to it. Yes, Paul, indeed. I didn't really need an Xbox Series X. I spoilt myself and I got one. And I'm really glad I did, actually, because I have a nice LG, I have a nice gaming TV. It partners up so well with that. It really does. And I'm really enjoying, and part of the fine tuning and the marketing for that LG TV at the time was, it plays next gen, especially Xbox. They joined up with Xbox Series X and sort of did co-marketing with it. It is such a good living room setup. A good modern gaming TV like the Samsung ones, the new Samsung TVs, or like the LG TVs with a Xbox Series X or something like that is a good, nice setup, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So enjoy. Purple Haze, who I very much respect, ladies and gentlemen. She's recently been doing some really interesting, intelligent, in-depth sort of opinion pieces on her YouTube channel about various things and, the gaming and stuff like that. And they're really refreshing takes. They're intelligent, they're thought out, but they're also really refreshing. And sometimes they're like, I never thought that. Yes. Oh, I never thought that. So highly worth recommending Purple Haze. I have a lot of respect for her. I'm not sure the regulators will actually block it, but more or less run the clock out. The parties might no longer agree to the original terms. Yeah, I think what will happen is a lot of things will get watered down, but it will sort of get through. Yeah, poor Sony. There's Sony ringing up the little violin shop. I also think the investment and impact in ChatGPT at a fraction of the cost might give Microsoft pause on this deal. That's interesting. I got access to the new Bing, actually. I feel like I could do a whole show about AI things. I was using Midjourney, which is probably, in my opinion, the best AI image creator out there. It's on Discord. It operates on Discord. It is shockingly good. From text to image, put in some, text. It has a very distinct style. It's not maybe as versatile as some other ones, but the finished rendition that they bring out is incredible. Oh, Derek Dean there just subscribed. Thank you very much, sir. Salute to you. Anyway, that's AI. And then I was looking at some chat stuff, some music generating stuff. Lots of crazy stuff going on there. Newsflash, Sony says it'll be uncompetitive if Clive gets 1,000 views. Exactly. Sony have tried to take me for court for ages for stealing, views away from, gamers away from their games. Happy evening. I was going to say, how do I say, Mudterps, MD Terps 000. Happy evening. Good to see you. Sounds like Sony should have bought Activision if their whole business rolls around Call of Duty. Exactly, Crow. You're too late now. We think Sony are sitting there going, why didn't we think of that? I mean, they reacted by buying Bungie, didn't they, really? that's more just buying a developer to develop a game as a service type game. Call of Duty is the cash flow that keeps the creative engines and R&D departments running inside PlayStation. Obviously, Rock's in the house. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. He's probably sitting there with his cocoa. Lovely to see you. The future of gaming is accessibility. Indeed, it is. And I think we'll see. I think we're seeing it. Like I said, I think it's good for. We've already seen the deal is potentially good for consumers because of the scrutiny given to the deal by the UK Competition and Markets Authority, the EU, and the FTC, because it's forced Microsoft to do a 10-year deal for Call of Duty with Nintendo. Nintendo weren't expecting that. Arigato gozaimasu, they're going to say, aren't they? Arigato gozaimasu. Forcing, in a way, Microsoft to act on cloud gaming by doing a deal with NVIDIA GeForce. Thank you very much. Looking forward to those Xbox PC games coming to NVIDIA GeForce. So we're already benefiting as consumers. We're already seeing the benefits of the deal, albeit because of the scrutiny being placed on it. But as consumers, we are already getting an upside. Jay Smith says Sony's been the top dog for years. It has. It has. And they're now fearing competition. Exactly. Xbox consoles are so far behind. It's interesting. Maybe Sony have rested on their laurels for so long. I was watching a YouTuber talk about it's Mr. who's Mr. Boss or Mr. Boss, whatever. Anyway, my son watches him, and he usually does phone, tech reviews of the latest mobile phones and stuff like that. But he did a YouTube video where he bought every Xbox. So he sort of went around and found on eBay and whatnot, and he collected every Xbox from the beginning, and then he talked about it. And he talked about, I forget which Xbox it was, maybe the Xbox 360, when PlayStation 3 came out. I can't remember which one it was, but basically where the way that it was pitched is that PlayStation, whatever generation it was much more powerful than Xbox, and sort of made a big... This was Sony saying, we're for serious gamers. Yeah, Sony is for serious gamers. Whereas Xbox was saying, hey, we're a multimedia entertainment center. You can watch TV, watch DVDs, and play games. Where Sony was, saying, no, we're a games machine. And I think it's it was at that point in the history, Xbox learnt their lesson and made sure that the Xbox Series X, many years later, was the most powerful console on the planet. Yeah, they weren't going to muck about, but they learnt that lesson because I think now culturally, the reason that Sony seems so popular, okay, they make great games and all that. The reason Sony is the de facto console to have is because Sony PlayStation is the gamers console. Yeah. Now I don't particularly subscribe to that viewpoint, but I think that came out of the console wars back in the day, and that pivotal moment when PlayStation clearly positioned themselves as we have the most powerful gaming console in the world, and I forget whether it was 3 or 4. And at the time, Xbox was saying, well, we're a multimedia center. And I think that sort of, since then, it's sort of established that idea that somehow PlayStation is a proper games console, And culturally, that's sort of, that meme, as it were, has sort of lived on a bit, maybe changing a bit now in the current generation, but yeah. I'm missing the link between Xbox and PlayStation. The homo. Oh, yes, exactly. The missing link between the two. It died off. It was Sega. It died off. I have both LG C1. Yeah, I've got the LG C1. Xbox and PS5 and LG is legit. It is, Marcel. Absolutely. Oh, showing off your big 55. Your big 55-incher. Your big boy. I'm 40-inch. Sorry. But I can imagine it looks so good. I play, sometimes I play GeForce Now on there and it's not playing in 4K, but I sometimes forget. I just sometimes assume it's in 4K because the LG is really good at upscaling and not creating any lag in that upscale. It just the picture quality looks very good. And a lot of the Xbox games come out with Dolby Vision as well. And they just look fantastic on the LG. Purple Haze, I knew I'd embarrass you. Wait until GTA 6 drops. Will this become Sony's most important game? Looking forward to AI Clive. Or, well, it's funny you should say that, Kirk. It's funny you should say that. I was toying with some ideas around that. Maybe we'll see something in on some future shows, ladies and gentlemen. Sony should try buying the Stadia tech. Well, if they, I think they, if Sony want to up their cloud gaming, why not? They're reliant on, of course, Sony are reliant on Microsoft Azure, Microsoft's cloud enterprise system for their cloud gaming. That's a bit orcs, isn't it? It's a bit awkward. Yeah. So maybe, Google would be an option. Considering they have one of Stadia Games' development team on board already. Exactly. Mid-Journey. Paint Phil Spencer working at Sony after Activision. Exactly. I've run out of free credits on my Mid-Journey, but I'm tempted to buy it. I highly recommend, if you go to it, what's really interesting about Mid-Journey is it operates on Discord. So you go into Discord, you go into Mid-Journey, you join the Mid-Journey Discord, and then I think there's a channel in there called Newbies. You basically go in there and then you put /prompt. No, sorry, /imagine. I'll show you. It is, although I can't generate a picture for you, but I'll show you because I've run out of credits. But it's incredible. Mid-Journey here. So you'll down here. Let me just go to so you can see. Thanks, Clive. So following on from, here we are. So you're in Discord here, and you go to Mid-Journey. I'm on Mid-Journey here. And then down in here, you've got these sections called Newbies. Newbies. You just go any Newbies room. There's 3 Newbies room. Go into the Newbies room. And then all you do is you just put /imagine. And then you see it comes up with a prompt. And then you go, it probably won't work. But let's put in, for instance, I don't know, it might not work. Phil Spencer working at a Sony. I'm going to put working at a Sony shop. We'll put hyper realistic. And we'll see if that comes up with anything. You have to, oh no, my trial's come to an end. There we are, it won't. But anyway, we're not here to talk about AI. But it's really, really cool. PS3 was the hardest console to code for. Yeah, it was. I remember at the time when I was in the games industry, developers saying it was so difficult. It was so not friendly. And of course, the Xbox, of course, was based on, well, the first Xbox was sort of based on, you know, a Microsoft operating system, and therefore you could use DirectX and stuff like that. So it was a lot easier for developers. But PlayStation 3, they wanted to make it really technically really powerful, but ended up therefore making it very difficult to code for, as I understand it. I'm not a coder, but that's how I understood it. It went. Right. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There is another show. Look, check out this, right? This is, before I go. This is Mid-Journey. Somebody's obviously showing some cats in a supermarket or something like that. It's incredible. These are created by AI. I mean, I've seen I've tried other AI art things, and when they sort of, create humans, you get some sort of random extra arm coming out the head or something like that. They're not always very good. This Mid-Journey stuff is ridiculously good. People that create like logos. It's not very good at text. Can't do text. But yeah, I did. Look at this. I don't know what the description was. I did one like a Japanese gangster, and it was incredible. Let's see if I can find it quickly for you. I don't want to show you all my photographs. Oh, naughty! No. Private, personal, children, my kids. I don't want that. Okay. This is it before I go. So my prompt here was 1970s Japanese gangster. This hasn't gone away and searched and found these photographs. This has made these. These are unique. Like, that was the prompt. 1970s Japanese gangster. Not go away and find an existing photograph. Create a unique picture. And it came up with these 4 designs. Incredible. Blew me away. I mean, and that's a very simple prompt, really. Anyway, there you go. That's enough about the AI. I could do a whole show about it. I'm so fascinated with it at the moment. Let's go back to the chat. As ever, as I said, we're going to call it a night there. Have a wonderful, wonderful gaming week. Why not join me on Thursday night for the GeForce Thursday Night podcast? If not, I'll see you at the same time, same place, right here, right now, this time next week. Enjoy your gaming, have fun, and take it easy if you can, Take some time out for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. It's much appreciated. Arigato gozaimasu.